Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to No Invite live stream, guys. Can you guys believe it? It's already season 3, and I got some fishing heads already in the chat saying, "Where's the live stream?" Had to get it all set up for you, man. Big shout outs to Pia for joining us tonight. Big shout outs to AK High Adventure for joining us tonight. What's up, guys? How you guys doing? You guys are. We also got Brother Sal. What's up, guys? Thank you for joining us tonight, too, Brother Sal. Can you guys believe it, man? It's already season 3. Thank you guys so much for making this live stream podcast, fish tale story sharing from all over the United States happen. Today we have a special guest from California, but I just want to give a little thanks to everybody for making this happen. I don't. It started with just one episode, seeing how it was gonna be with my cousin from Alaska, AK High Adventure, right here. And now we're like more than 18 episode in, guys. Thank you guys for so much. Thank you guys so much for making this happen. We got Bentley Bang, yo. Thank you for joining. Thank you guys for so much. Thank you guys so much for making this keep happening. All right, guys. Um, Yeah, if you guys are new to the live stream, this is No Invite live stream. I'm your host, CHUAKIAGX3. I have a little YouTube channel that I do Alaska fishing. But tonight's not about me. Tonight is about my guest, guys. I have a special guest, Core Fishing from Stockton, California. He does a lot of Delta fishing. He does Sacramento, Stockton, Riverway fishing. And yeah, we're gonna get him on in a second and get to know him a little bit beyond the content. I've been a fan, a follower of him since I discovered him about a year ago. And yeah, reminds me a lot when I was still living in California. Sadly, I only got to fish uh, when I was younger, in my teens and early 20s. I didn't get to fish, but when I watch this video, it reminds me of all the areas that when I was a little kid that I been to or look familiar to where I went. And yeah, we're gonna have Core Fishing on. And yeah, if you guys are joining us live, please make sure to leave a comment in the comment section where you guys are from, where you guys are watching from, what you guys are doing, what you guys are having for dinner. Okay, tune in with us, engage with us, and let's have a fun hour of fishing stories from all over the United States. Okay, Pia Zon, congratulations, bro. Grinding, finally paying off. Yes, sir, man. Thank you guys too. You guys are motivation and inspiration to the whole community, man. I wish there was more, like, I wish the Hmong outdoor community was more visible in the entertainment scene, but we are just more into our community, like just like all the fishing guys, where like it's not like music or movie or Facebook models or whatever, but influencer, but it is what it is, and here we are. Okay, all right, guys, we are headed to Stockton, California. I'm gonna bring Core Fishing on, and we are gonna talk to him about fishing. Okay, please join in. So I'm gonna turn my back around. Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. How are you, man? Glad to have me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for making time for your busy schedule to join me tonight. And just want to start off by saying, I love your content. It reminds me of when I used to live in the area. Seeing some of the places you go remind me of when I was like fishing, like around like 6, 7, 8 with my parents. But I kind of stopped, man. I love your content, man. Keep doing what you do.
Appreciate it, man. Like your content too, man. Making one of his Alaska.
Oh yeah, man. Alaska, it's a really nice, beautiful place. So best way to describe it, and the only way to describe it is if you're really into the outdoor, it's a really great place to come visit. For staying, I don't really know, if it's everybody's cup of tea, but yeah, it's a beautiful place, man. Thank you so much. How's the weather out there?
Oh man, it's hot, man. We've been in like some crazy heat wave out here in the Stockton, Sacramento area.
Oh
It
wow.
was like triple digits for like all summer, and then we finally got down to reasonable weather. We're in like the 90s, 80s. We hit 80 one day, and it feels like it was like fall already. It's been hot.
Oh man, thank God I don't have to deal with the heat wave, man. Because I remember, man, it was like super hot, like 110 degrees, and you're driving down the road, and like this side of the body, you're like tan, and this side you're like a little bit lighter, from the sun hitting you, Yeah,
Oh
man.
man, you're not joking, man. Like these triple digits, you're just like you don't even want to go out and fish. You're just like, man, it's not even worth it because you're just gonna go out and burn.
Yeah, 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 for sure, man. So tonight it is about you. I love watching your content. I only know you, about your content. I wanna, you to share a little bit more about, you know, beyond your content, and also, hopefully, share some, tips, tricks, or whatever to the viewers who are watching. All right.
Yep, no problem, man.
Before we get started, we got a comment. Pia Zong, no bass in Alaska though. Yeah, you know what? There is no bass in Alaska. Um, Crazy thing is these Bass Pros and Cabela's up here, they do still sell Bass product, even though there's no Bass in Alaska. It's kind of weird
That's
how it's not
crazy.
like area specific. But yeah, tell us about core fishing.
Oh man, so my channel started, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I have no idea now. I didn't want to start a channel. I was just like, hey, you know what? I seen all these guys YouTubing and just videoing it. I was like, I bought a GoPro and I was like, I'm just gonna video myself just for fun. Like, I had no intention of starting a channel. I was just like, let's just video, see how it looks. And then the more I videoed, I was like, hey, this is kind of fun. It's more about for me per se because I was like, I could see my own fishing. I could see what I was doing wrong. It was just kind of like a journal for me. Like, hey, look, I caught this many fish. Hey, I caught on this type of weather. I caught on this type of bait. And the more I did it, the more I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. So the more I did it, I was like, hey, post a video. I'm not trying to become famous or anything. I'm just posting what I go do. And the more I did it, I was like, hey, this is kind of fun. So I just kept doing it. And when I have time now, I can just, record a video, post it up, and hey, it's just for me, nothing serious.
Oh man, for sure, man. That sounds like a familiar story too, just like mine. I was just I was fishing, and I was like, you know what? Why not, like, record it just for, you know, keeping it for memories, and it turned to a lot more. Um, the average Joe, and just recording and then just uploading, and then it just became more than that. And if you guys didn't know, core fishing name is Joe, the average Joe, man.
Pun intended. It was a great
Yeah,
one.
pun intended. Yeah. Hey, so fishing with the diversity of species in California, what is your favorite fish to fish for?
Oh man, in California, we're really lucky. We got a lot of fishing. But if I had to choose one day in and day out, my favorite is striped bass or striper. That's my favorite. That's the target species I'd go for all the time if I wanted to.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, growing up, I did get a chance to fish some striped bass, in Sacramento by Freeport and Sacramento River, and man,
Mhm.
they fight hard, man. They fight hard, man. When you get a nice big one. I don't know the rules and regulation now, but back then, I mean, I seen my dad pull like some 40s.
Yep.
And yeah, they fight hard, man. We got Kenji Autobots in the house. Hey, what's up, bro? One of my longtime friend and sponsor. We got B Chuakia. Hey, what's up, brother B? Thanks for joining us tonight. We got brother Shy in the house. Hey, what's up, Joe from Shy?
What's up, Shy?
Yeah, and like you said, you already said why, but as much fishing as you do you enjoy and love eating fish?
You know, at first when I was a kid, I actually hated fish. Like I
Oh yeah.
wouldn't even touch it. Like I would like eat it and throw up as a kid. So I had like a bad taste in my mouth for it. So like, man, I probably didn't eat fish till I was like 16, 17 again. And sounds like what OGs say, right? Like your taste buds change when you get older. And as
Uh-huh.
I'm getting older, I eat way more fish now. Now I fish not to eat it, but sometimes when I want to eat it, I keep it if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yep.
it's not like I guess some people go fish to eat, but I just fish for fun, and then eating is just another part of it. I'm like kind of picky on the fish I eat. I don't just eat everything, but I
Yeah.
eat a good majority of the species.
Yeah, no problem with that. What's your all-time favorite recipe of how you like to cook your fish?
Man, my all-time favorite recipe, that's tough. I mean, sometimes I like just making lye with a lot of my fish. You can't beat that.
Right.
But sometimes if I'm just looking for like straight traditional kind of like fish, like a fish, like the whole fish fried, deep fried with some mamblo and pepper. That's like the best too, because you can't beat straight fried fish, But sometimes live's good too. Just depends what you're in the mood for.
Yeah, I usually just go with the lot route because it's
Yeah,
easy. Just bake it and then break it apart and then throw all your herbs and with the instant lop seasoning, just bam, throw it in there, toss it in. No.
yeah. And no one ever complains when you make live too. It's
I
like
know,
you eat
right?
it. Everyone eats it. They're like, "Oh man, I haven't had this in such a long time." And like for us fishermen, we're like, "Man, we could get this whenever we want." We
Right,
just it's not a new thing for us.
right. Hell yeah, man. So, as a fisherman, like want to promote advocate for like let's just say like conservation, also rules and regulation. Um, I want to test you out to see if you know your fish. Okay.
All right, hit me.
So I'm gonna show like 5 pictures of some fish, and if it's a fish that you caught before, share us your personal best and a little story with it. Okay.
Yep,
All
sounds
right.
good.
I'm gonna turn around. Sorry. It might be kind of like blown out.
Right there, got a catfish. Looks like a bullhead, if I'm guessing. Um, I mean, catfish is one of those things. A lot of people call them like trash fish. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But catfish actually make pretty good table fare if you cook it right.
Mm.
A lot of the times, I don't really target catfish. It's kind of like a bycatch if you're soaking bait for stripers or sturgeon or something. But if you catch the catfish in the 1 to 2 pound range and you fillet it and you like, what do you call it? Soak it in like buttermilk or something, it becomes very tender. It's actually very
Mm.
good. But a lot of the times people don't handle catfish right. So they talk about it getting like a muddy dirt flavor.
Mm.
So if you catch catfish, my recommendation is go in the lakes where the water is generally more clean and target the smaller ones, 1 to 2 pounds. Those ones taste really good. If you say my biggest catfish, I don't know. I don't really fish it. Probably I'm guessing around like 9, 10 pounds. Those are just accidental catches though, from like
Okay.
catching striper or like soaking bait. Catfish bites, so you just reel it in.
All right, you got 1 out of 5. No, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get all of it. I just want to hear some of your, PBs. Okay, let me go to the next one.
Ooh, carp. Carp is one of those again, like a lot of people they call them trash fish.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have never caught a carp. I've hooked a bunch, but I've never went and targeted them.
Oh,
The
okay.
only carp story I distinctly remember when I was probably a kid, probably like, I don't know, 8, I'm guessing at the most. We were in a trout tournament and was fishing for trout and I had hooked something. This was before I really knew how to fish. And I started reeling in. It was a ginormous golden carp. I'm guessing it was like ginormous when I was a kid, but it was still big. It was probably at least the size of my leg as a kid. So I'm guessing it was
Mm-hmm.
probably in the 10-pound range. I reeled it all up and it was right next to me and it kept splashing and splashing and splashing. And then me and my cousin were freaking out. We still remember this story to the day. And we had no net. We were kids. We weren't going to jump in and grab it. So it kept splashing and then they were running to give us the net and the carp splashed off. Outside of that, I've never really targeted carp. It's one of those things that some people I know fish for them. They say they really like them, but the times that I've been invited over to other friends' house that eat carp, it always to me has this like very, very strong odor to it. And I
Right.
could I've never gotten over it. I don't know if you smelt it before.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Growing up in Sacramento too, like my parents they would go like carp fishing in like the canals where like the water would go to like the rice field in, like West Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like they loved it. I don't know why. Maybe because they're okay with eating fish from back home. But
Yeah.
yeah, it does have that smell, man, and like muddy.
Yeah. This is like one of those fish too that like, I've seen so many Hmong people have their like secret recipes to make their
Yeah,
carp
yeah.
bait. You know, people are telling me use the orange soda. People are telling me use grape soda, and I'm like, man, I'm not that dedicated to come out here and fish this fish. You know?
I wonder if people are still like using what we used to use back in the day, just cornmeal with like mixed with like peanut butter or soda to fish.
Yep. No,
Or
people are still using that. You know,
oh, okay.
it's one of those things that it's not a secret, but you know, you'll see carps in the hundreds, especially in the spring when they're all spawning and like
Oh,
no one's
okay.
targeting them. Everyone's just ignoring them. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what my dad was using back in the day. Just cornmeal with some sweetener, some peanuts, some scent. It wasn't too fancy. I mean, I've seen people catch them like with jigs or something
Yeah.
close to it. Already. All right, we're gonna go to the next one, man. You are 2 for 5 right now.
I hope I get all of them. Rainbow trout. Trout is my wintertime fish.
Oh, what is
It's
it?
my wintertime fish because when things slow down here in California, there's not much to fish in the winter. There's only the only active species that actively bite is probably trout and sturgeon. But I don't know if you pay attention to California regulations, but sturgeon is like all up in the air.
Oh,
It's
wow.
opening and closing. It opened and then it was only catch and release. And then it was only one fish with a small slot. And then it's totally closed now. And they're like waiting for the regulations to come back.
Oh, wow. So
But
it's closed, huh?
yeah, so it's closed officially now, but you know, if I had to guess what's going to happen with it, sturgeon is probably going to be closed indefinitely, kind of like salmon, you know. But on to trout. Trout is what I grew up fishing. Like every time when I was a kid, you know, if you lived here in Sacramento, so you've seen all the like stock ponds and the trout stockings that always happen. And when you're a kid, your dad, I'm not going to say the only safe thing, but the most safest way of fishing is going to the lake, you know, and fishing those trout stocks. And that's all I remember doing growing up as a kid. I've caught thousands of trout in my life. And I'd say my biggest one is probably like, I think probably like 7.5 pounds or something like that. I caught it when I was like, oof, how old was I? Probably like 10. I still haven't beat it. I do a lot of trout fishing, you know, and I still haven't beat my 7.5 pounder. It seems like every year someone gets lucky at um, the stock trout and they
Yep.
catch like an 8-10 pounder. And here I am still trying to beat my one from like 10 years old. And I'm like almost 30 now. And man, just like trout's a fun fish. People diss on it a lot because they're like, hey, it's stocked fish. But the truth is, hey, at least you're out fishing. It's better than, staying at home.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, in Alaska, um, most of our lake in town in Anchorage, it is
Mm-hmm.
stocked by the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, and it's for recreation. So yeah, we get to do rainbow trout fishing year round, especially in the wintertime too. They stock it before it freezes over, so we get to do a lot of rainbow fishing, like rainbow trout fishing when like the salmon season's over, like you say, the slow time.
Yeah.
And every year, towards the end of the year, they always like stock like the breeder or like the broad stock that they
Mm-hmm.
had like years ago. And yeah, these past couple years, like well, me personally, I've discovered some locations, so I've been able to catch them 20, 22 incher, but
That's a
the
pretty big fish.
most what I want to say is like the most rewarding is actually going out to the wild lakes,
I agree.
wild river, wild stream, and catching those wild trout that are like actually living out there year round. And yeah, there could be some big one. A lot of the folks that fish out here that does fish in the river, streams, and lake out like in a while, they catch and release, so they get
Yeah.
really big.
No,
Yeah.
most definitely. And I forget that, a lot of people in California, they target the stocked lakes and ponds during the winter time, right?
Hmm.
But during the summer, there's a bunch of trout up in the Sierra Nevadas up there that are wild, and
Hmm.
those ones are, that's like what a lot of people call like true trout fishing,
Hmm.
where they're wild and average trout is like 6 to 10 inches, but a big one is like 2 pounds. Those ones though, their meat and their fight is completely different than the stock trout.
Right. Yeah, and if you are in Alaska and you ask for someone's location for those wild Alaska rainbow trout location, man, they are gatekeepers, man. So
I believe that.
unless you are adventurous and you go and stumble upon it, then
They won't tell you.
But yeah, they don't share. But there's a lot of trout stocked in Anchorage alone with like the 6, 7 lakes that we have. So you could catch some big ones just in town too. You don't have to drive all the way out there, but it's just so rewarding more catching a wild one, you know?
Yeah, most definitely.
Cool, man. We got Garado. I can't read that. Sorry. I think that's either Spanish or French. Sorry. Thank you for joining us tonight, man. All right, next fish. You are on a good roll.
Black bass. If there was one fish that me and my dad actually started trying to fish after trout and bluegill, you know, because everyone fished bluegill first,
Oh yeah.
we tried to go fish bass, and we just we were horrible at it, to be honest. You know, we were throwing spinner baits, we were throwing all this stuff, and we were trying to catch a bass, but we could just never catch a bass. So we didn't really target it. And I never really cared for bass, you know, because I remember people would eat it, and to me, it has a stronger fishy smell and taste. So I wouldn't care for it. Plus, like the only thing that like really kept it alive for me is I don't know if you were watching as a kid, you watch like Roland Martin or Bill Dance and them, and they'd be fishing these largemouth bass. You're like, man, I want to catch those fish too. You know, they making you think you catch a merry cast. But I didn't really care to fish bass for a good majority of my life. I probably just started fishing it in the last, I don't know, 8 years or so, and it started with the Senko, you know, catching bass, and I caught my biggest bass off a Senko, off the bank, of course, not on my boat because you can't catch big bass off a boat apparently, but catch a big bass off the bank, and it was about 7.25 pounds. A lot of bass fishing for me has just not been like, you know, my forte or my jam. I've been doing it a lot because I got like a friendly tournament with my buddies going
Nice.
on, but man, it's just I don't know if I don't really care for it or like it's just like I don't put enough time for it to like be my number one. But bass fishing is just not my favorite, but I understand why people do it. But if there's one thing I love the most about bass fishing, there's two bites that you can't get on any other type of fish that I know about. One is the frog bite. Bass fishing on a frog is probably my favorite thing. There's no other fish I know you could throw into like the cheese, the mats, into like the nastiest stuff, and something will come out and eat it. And then when you set the hook on a frog, that's like the funnest. Other than that, it's probably the punch bite. I don't know if you bass fish a lot, but well, you
I've
can't.
I've I've watched some videos from the low 48 fishermen,
Yeah,
like yours and Shy and some other ones, and yeah, I've recently heard about the punch. Yeah.
yeah. So the punch, you're literally taking a big weight. It's actually kind of dangerous, and you throw it through the mat, and then like you wait for the bass to hit. It's kind of dangerous because if you set the hook, the weight could come flying back at
Oh
you, and it's a
yeah.
1.5 ounce weight, you know. Plus, like you'll hit things. I've been hit by a punch weight before. It's not very fun. Left a big bruise. But bass fishing, I think a lot of people do it, and I can see the allure because like a lot of people like to fish it, but it's just not my favorite fish. I fish for it right now because it's the season, you know. But you know, outside of like the little summer frog bites and punch, I probably don't fish that much throughout the year.
So like what size was your PB or weight?
My personal best is like 7.25 pounds, something like that. Which in the Delta, it's a good fish, but it's not like the monsters. You know, a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
people have PBs in the 10 to 12, 13 pound range, you know.
Right. Nice, man. Let's go to the next one, man. You're on a really good road now.
Oh man, that's my favorite fish, striper right there. Um, striper, I've always liked fishing striper. Actually, I lied. I hated fishing striper when I was fishing trout as a kid. I hated fishing stripers because I couldn't catch any. Me and my dad, we didn't know how to catch any for a long time. We would catch them, but it wasn't like every time we go out, we'd catch them, you know? So I'm sure you follow me,
Yep.
Leo, Shy, everyone. We fishing at Hogan Lake in the boils, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one day, me and my dad, we were just taking our little John boat out, and we just stumbled into a boil, and then like, you know, we didn't really know what we were doing, and we managed to catch a limit, which is the limit is 10 fish a person, right? And these were some small stripers at Hogan. They don't have a size limit. We were catching some small, like 10 inches or 12 inches, you know? And then after that, we're like, hey, that was kind of fun. Let's do it again. And that one boil, I was probably like in high school. So I was probably like, ooh, dang, man, makes me feel so old now. Like 15 years ago. I was like 15
Oh, we
years
are
ago.
all old now, man.
I was like, that was my first boil. And ever since then, man, it was like we got hooked and then we started chasing boils. And then we were like, hey, we could catch these fish. And for striper fishing, Hogan Lake started it for me because, man, when you get on those boils, have you seen the videos? There's nothing like it, man. Like fish are literally popping and eating in front of you. And then you cast out there, you hook them up. And people always say, like, back in the days, like striper fishing was the best. But, you know, there's a lot of pressure at Hogan now and just striper fishing in general. But what do you call it? The striper fishing, I remember back in the days, like me and my dad, we didn't know how to fish the boils. We were just throwing whatever we could throw, you know, and we would still catch them. The best boil I ever been on lasted about 2 hours. It was on my 16th birthday. I still
Oh,
remember
wow.
because 16 is when you have to buy a fishing license in California. I still remember we were the only boat. They were just boiling around us for the whole time, at least 2 hours, because we had caught so many fish, we stopped fishing. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah,
Yep.
but Hogan Lake, I've actually taken a back seat from, and I know a lot of people watch my videos just to go chase the Hogan Lake boils and stuff. But I've really been doing a lot of delta fishing. The reason is because the striper and the delta just get bigger, man. And it's been a blast to chase. My personal best out on the delta is just at 20 pounds, and that was on top water. So if you ever watch striper blow up on top water, man, there's nothing like it. They come up and just smack it. And in the delta, you're consistently catching 5 to 10 pounders, no problem. Out at Hogan, and your average fish is about like 2 to 3 pounds with a 5, 6 in the mix. So, you know, just the bigger fish alert has taken me away from Hogan and right onto the California Delta. That's where I've been fishing.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna check out some of your video in a second too. We do have Youngie Brand join us tonight. Thank you, brother, for joining. He said good stuff. Yeah. I remember like when I was like 7, 8, I got a chance to fish New Hogan Lake too. But at that time, like Hmong people were still just mainly fishing from shore, or there was a few boat owner, but a lot of Hmong people was still fishing from shore, and we would like sit out there until like the group or the boil will come. But after it comes and pass, you'll sit out there for a minute, and yeah, I got to fish it a little bit. I was kind of like didn't really know what I was doing other than hey, grab the pole, and then just reeling it in. But yeah, watching Leo video, he's actually my cousin. Yeah,
Yeah.
watching his stuff, man, it would just bring back so much me. Like, damn, now as an adult man, if I go with the kayak, man, I'll popping and blowing stuff all day, and it'll be super fun. But yeah, um, looking at some of your video recently too, man. Yeah, you look like you're having a blast out there, man, on the Delta. But we're gonna check out your video in a second. Talking about the Delta. I see you do a lot fishing on a boat. What what advice can you give a guy who's interested in owning a boat, man? For the first time.
Man, my advice is just get friends with boats. No, I'm just joking. Owning a boat is a lot of responsibility. It really is. If I had to give it like pieces of advice before you even bought your boat, you got to
Yeah,
think about a couple things. You got to think about, do you have a tow vehicle? Like you
yeah,
can't even get a boat if you don't got a tow vehicle. And then a lot of people that I've seen, they tow with a car that's too small.
oh, okay,
So they'll get a boat that's way too big. So say like your car, let's talk about the bump car,
okay,
the Tacoma. A lot of people drive a Tacoma. Nothing wrong with it. Drive a Taco, right? But they'll get a Tacoma. It pulls about like 6,000 pounds or so, and they'll get a boat that is like 4,000, 5,000 pounds. Like they're maxing out their tow capacity. And when you think about buying a boat, one of the biggest things I think people get wrong is they get a boat and they're like, hey, my truck can tow this. Yes, your truck can tow it, but it can't stop it very effectively. A lot of people get these like, smaller trucks, and not bashing them or anything. But they get a smaller truck and they don't realize that they can tow it. If they're going 70, 80 miles per hour, they won't be able to stop that fast, you know? So think about your tow vehicle. How strong is your tow vehicle? And I would definitely recommend, I know some people don't tow with it, but in my opinion, you have to have 4x4 in your tow vehicle. When you're on a boat ramp or driving anywhere, you probably take a boat, slippery roads, that 4x4 will save you. You don't want to be stuck holding the brake and, stuck in one place. After that, I'd say think about where you can store the boat. Like, are you comfortable storing the boat? You know, can you store it in front of your house? Can you store it in your backyard? Can you store it in your garage? You know, those are the first two things you need to think about, because if your neighborhood's not safe and you're storing a boat in your front yard, is it going to be there tomorrow? You know, if you
Right.
can you
We
store a
heard some
boat in your
stories. Yeah.
backyard, you know, does your HOA, like, you know, are they going to say you have to store it in the garage? You know, what type of weather do you experience? You know, for you guys have snow, right? So storing a
Yeah.
boat outside, is it going to be fine without the snow? You got to store it inside, you know. Those are like the first two things I would even consider before even buying a boat. Because if you can't do both of those, then you're like, and I wouldn't even think about it before. You know, you have to have a storage and you have to have a tow vehicle. I guess after that, you could really look and evaluate what type of boat you need. You know, what type of fishing do you do? Do you do mostly bass fishing? Are you multi-species? Are you drifting? Do you need a jet boat? You have to really think about what type of fishing you do the most. There's no reason to get a boat you're going to use like only in a certain situation. Like, say I'm going to go fish a shallow river once a year, I'm going to buy a jet boat. That doesn't make sense, you know?
Mhm.
Or I'm going to go buy a bass boat, but I don't even bass fish, you know? Or I'm going to go buy a deep V, but I don't even multi-species fish. Boats are very tailored to what, you know, the fisherman needs. So after you know what type of boat you think you're going to get, I'd say try to go and ride in that boat or ride that style of boat, because a lot of the times boat owners don't really know what they want before they have a boat. And that was me too, you know. You're going to buy a boat and you're going to learn, you know. I'd say buy a bigger boat than what you think. And what I mean
Mm.
by that is I've never really heard of most people being upset because they bought a too big of a boat, you know. Most of the time, I hear people upset because they didn't buy a big enough boat. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you're going to go out and say, hey, I only need a 12, 14 footer boat, man, if you've never been in a 12, 14 footer boat, that's a small boat, you know. You're like, hey, just get me started. There's nothing wrong with that. I started in 12, but if I could give you advice, like go buy a 16, 17, 18-foot boat. You'll be way more comfortable.
Okay.
So those are like kind of some of my tips. And the truth is, you're never going to know what it's like to be a boat owner until you own a boat, man. My boat's broken down twice this year, and that's the most I ever had it. You know, owning a boat is just, and it's a headache sometimes, but there's nothing better than it. When you're on a boat fishing, it's just the best.
So, if from your experience, I know you've been doing really good, but what's the disadvantage and advantage of shore fishing and boat fishing?
Man, it's kind of like ignorance is bliss when you're shore fishing. You know, you always think that when you have a boat, you're like, man, I'd be catching way more fish if I was in a boat. It's
Yeah.
the easiest. Like, man, if I had a boat, I go to that side, catch a fish right now, you know?
Right.
And it's not like that, you know? Bank fishing has a lot of, you know, good in it, in my opinion, you know? You can get out. It's cheaper to do bank fishing, way cheaper to do.
Right.
It's not as expensive. And if you got buddies, you know, you want to go with, they could all hop in the car and you guys all go bank fishing, you know. There's not a lot of investment in terms of like cash for bank fishing. You know, you could go find your new spots. You can go discover new spots, you know, Google Maps, and you could walk in there, you know. Bank fishing is like the simplest way to fish. And the truth is, landing a fish and fishing from the bank is way easier, in my opinion, than fishing from a boat a lot of the times. You don't have the control, you know, you don't have to position the boat. You don't have to worry about, you know, tides or where you're running and stuff. You're just fishing a spot, you know. Plus, when you catch fish off the bank, you just feel like, man, that guy who's having the boat, man, he just wasted money there. I caught fish right here, you know.
Yeah, because one of the things we do in Alaska, that it's like for Alaska resident is a subsistence program where we go dip net, right? And then we're like dip netting from the shore, right? And they're like, damn, we're catching a whole bunch of fish. Man, I wish I had a boat. I'll be catching more fish like this. But then when you realize it, like, they're probably like catching about, a little bit more, but it's less investment. Yeah. The reason why I asked you was because I'm looking to buy something that's like Alaska specific to do some Alaska stuff in the future, and those are a lot of great um um how I want to say, those are a lot of great tips to look into before I go into it. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, brother. Yeah, man.
And I will
Great.
say though, having a boat is like one of the best things in the world. Like
Yeah.
truthfully, I bought a boat and it's like the worst financial investment. I cannot tell you buying a boat is a good financial investment. Like you don't. drive it as much as you think. It just sits there. You pay insurance on it. You know, if you have payments, you pay payments on it. You'll never use a boat as much as you think, in my opinion. But it's not, doesn't have to make financial sense. Like when you're out fishing on a boat and you're
Right.
just out there, it's like the best thing. You're like, yeah, this is why I have a boat, you know?
Right. Cool, man. Cool, man. Great tips, man. Definitely will save that for later so that when I'm in the market, I could think about all that. But definitely, yeah, I do have to start with the towing first, then, for
Yes.
sure. All right, guys. If you guys are joining us live, thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Please leave a comment in the comment section. We are mid through our planned program today. If you guys are rewatching this, please make sure to check out my YouTube channel. Set it, snag it, dip it, Alaska. I just recently changed the name to all my non-speaking Hmong people so that they could find me easier. And you can also find me on Facebook. Set it, snag it, dip it, Alaska. And also make sure to check out Core Fishing's YouTube channel too. We are going to be hopping over to his YouTube channel in a second, and he also has a Facebook page too, but I couldn't really find a easy link, so just go on Facebook, just go and search for Core Fishing and you will find his fishing page, man. Thank you guys for still with us. We still got a few more stuff to do. If you guys are rewatching this, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay. Next segment of the program, Joe, we're gonna check out some of your recently fishing trip that you got on YouTube, and you could either narrate it or you could wait until the end and just kind of share like where you were at, what you were using, how was the day, fishing, stuff like that. Okay.
Sound good? All right, let's see. This one, I'm bass fishing. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm bass fishing out in the California Delta. Bass fishing top water. Like I said, the frog has been my favorite thing to do recently.
There you go.
And the bass bite's actually been pretty good in the evening, or whenever the tides are good. Frog fishing, like I said, throwing. If you can see back there, there's actually a little bit of that cheese stuff that I like talking about.
Damn,
And you cast it up there, and then the frog just came through and blew it up. And man, like I said, summer top water bass fishing is probably the best. That's probably my favorite part of bass fishing.
That's a nice looking bass.
Yeah, I'm in a tournament with my buddy Shy and a couple of my other buddies. So,
Oh, okay.
well, we're doing like the longest 5 fish right now, and some other my buddies they're killing it, man. They got almost like 100 inches, which is about almost 25 pounds of bass.
Where's Shy at right now on his?
Shy's not in last place. We got 7 guys, and Shy's in 6th place, but he actually
Okay.
hasn't been bass fishing that much.
Come on, Shy,
That's
get
why.
out there, man.
But Shy's, shining fish is that he actually has one of the biggest fish in the entire tournament. He has like a 6-pounder. So
Nice.
we got 7 guys, and he's in 6th place. But the truth is, we're only away by a few inches. So like if you cold up,
Oh, yeah.
then you could be like in 2nd place. So it's not that. It's pretty tight,
Oh my god.
Yeah, up here still bass fishing, frog fishing.
Oh, shit.
You guys actually can't see it, but one of my cousins who just got into fishing is in the back right now, so
Alright, guys,
he's
I'll
amazed by
be
every single
already
catch.
trading here.
He's having
Yeah,
a blast.
I was like when I was watching this video, I was listening to his commentary too, man. He was like pretty like wow.
Yeah, he's never been on a boat. He just started fishing. He's addicted to it now,
Oh,
and
nice.
Always fun.
yeah, so he's just having a blast being out there. And for me, I'm just like, man, this is just a fish,
A lot of us became fishing influencers, influence other people. I hope
That's
it's for
true.
good and not for bad,
Yep, definitely.
Cool, man. What pound line do you use?
When I'm frog fishing just like that, it has to be 65-pound braid. There's no reason you wouldn't use braid when you're frog fishing because of where you're throwing the frog. If I threw up into those weeds and I had mono or fluoro, even if it was like 30-pound, it would like probably bend and stretch and probably want to break. Braid, you've used braid before. It has that no stretch, no give kind of thing. Frog fishing's full combat, man. If that frog hits it, you set it as hard as you can. You yank that fish out of there. There's no fight. Reel it in as fast as you can. Especially in the California Delta, I'm sure you remember it's just weeds everywhere, grass everywhere. So there's no reason to like baby these fish, especially if you're frog fishing. Or in this one, I'm using whopper plopper, same thing. Straight braid, reel it in as fast as you can. There's no fighting this fish.
Yeah, man, we use braid for like snagging because when they hit, it's like fighting hard. You know, we don't want any tension, any stretch. Just
Yep.
bringing it home. You know.
Yeah. Fun fact too, I've been using it's called Trilene the Big Game Braid. I found it recently and it's actually been one of my favorite braids. It's pretty inexpensive. You know, you can find it at Walmart a lot of the times and
Check it
get
out,
330 yards for like
Nice one.
20
On that
bucks. And I don't know if you
whopper.
used it
Probably
before,
about 3
but
Oh
I would
yeah,
say
I have Trilene Big
Yeah,
Game
one of these.
mono, but not the
the
braid.
mono is my favorite mono,
Yeah,
you know.
I have. That's what I use too for like flossing.
Yep. And big game, you know, people always think you have to buy expensive stuff, you know, in
Yeah,
general,
nah.
but you don't. That big game line is I could pull my boat in with it, you know.
Yeah, like I keep joking. I want to be what is it Walmart fishing department ambassador. I get a lot of my stuff from Walmart, man.
Yeah. And you know, the truth is a lot of people, I would honestly say Walmart has one of the biggest fishing, you know, businesses. Because, you know, an average Joe, an average guy, he
Right?
probably goes to Walmart to get his stuff,
Yep.
you know. Walmart or like maybe a big box store like Bass Pro or something. He doesn't go to a lot of guys don't go into specialty stores. I'm just talking about your average weekend fisherman, you
Right.
know. So that's just my opinion.
Cool, man. We're gonna go to the next one.
Let's see. Oh, me chatterbait fishing. This is actually a popper fish. People don't throw the popper. It's an underrated bait. But I'm just telling you, the bass guys, man, if you're not throwing a popper, you're missing out. Like it's a fun bite. I don't know why no one throws it. It's kind of like one of those baits that I don't know if you've seen this bait happen to baits before. Like one year, everyone will start using a certain type of bait, and it's like hecka hot for like 5-6 years, and then like everyone just stops throwing it all of a sudden.
So there's like
No.
trend.
Yeah,
Is
there's like a trending
trend?
bait.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's kind of like how like there's hype baits. You know,
Yeah.
like there's like different makes or models, and the popper is one of those ones that's just kind of falling down, and like no one really talks about it anymore. But that's a good bait. People just don't throw it. Yeah, I don't know why people don't throw it.
Looks pretty producing.
Yeah, that's my only popper fish of the day, but I fish the popper a lot during the summer. It's one of those things. If I don't have to throw it right up into the weeds and stuff, where I have to throw a frog, a popper in open water, I think draws fish really good. So,
What time was this?
this is early in the morning. Like the sun's actually rising. It's not setting right now. If you are a hardcore fisherman, you know you got to wake up early to catch fish. You know. So that was probably out. Man, I'd probably say I was probably out like 4:45 that morning, 4:45 a.m. in the morning, because the sun's still rising.
I'm pretty sure you're like me too. Can't sleep the night before.
Oh yeah, you can't. And then by the time you sleep, it's already like you only get a couple hours of rest. You're like, it's time to go.
Yep.
You know.
And then you out with some energy drink. If you drink energy or coffee,
Yeah.
and you're like out going on the road already.
Energy drink, coffee, and then you just fish all day, and then you go home and you just crash. I mean, that's all
and you crash.
all your energy you can do. Right now, I'm using a chatterbait. I don't know if you've seen them from Z-Man. They're a newer bait for me. I mean, they've been around for a few years now, no problem. But it's one of those baits that I'm trying to get confidence in, and I've been throwing it a lot just so I can get confidence. And it's one of those staple baits that people talk about in the California Delta. So just out here trying to get confidence in this bait.
No, I'm shooting for. What's your smallest? 13.25.
Yeah, and that's me talking about the tournament again. So you'll
okay.
hear me referring to these inches, and I'm like trying to measure this fish in my head. I'm like, hey, is this gonna cull? Because I'm actually hosting the tournament. I don't know if you're watching the kayak tournaments out here in the West Coast.
I see some from Pia.
Yeah. So you know how they measure them on that bump board, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm using the app Tourney X. I'm actually running a tournament with me and my buddies, just a friendly thing, nothing like serious,
Oh, okay.
And we're just measuring our fish. I think the pot right now, if you win, is like $600 or something. Just a friendly
Nice.
wager. And everyone has won it, I think, at some point. But sometimes you just feel like you're donating money. So
I just keep the your little circle motivated to fishing.
yeah, and that's what it is. Really is. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a bragging board thing. Like, hey, look, I'm coaling up. Everyone's just motivated to fish. So that way, when you're at work and like someone's out fishing, like, dang, I got to get out this weekend, or I got to get out tomorrow. And it's
Oh
just
man, I should do that with my little circle too, man.
yeah,
We're
and
salmon
like
fishing or
it
trout
challenges
fishing,
you to fish more, because like,
right?
man, sometimes you see some of these guys and you're like, dang, yeah, I don't know if I could beat that fish, and it's just a fun thing, and we buy in $100 each, we all pay out, and we set it for a few months. So like we'll switch our species. Sometimes it'll be like striper, sometimes it'll be bass, sometimes it'll be trout, and we just switch up the species every few months, and we got a little group chat going on, and it's just a fun way to stay entertained in fishing, than just your standard fishing.
Cool, man. I gotta get with you about more information on how to run one.
Yeah. I just started with just a basic group chat and everyone just sent pictures,
Oh, that's cool, man. I'll start with that too.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Love your content, man. Keep at it. All right, brother.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you guys do actually go on his YouTube channel, Core Fishing's YouTube channel, you guys actually get a little introduction of him sharing the tackle that he's using. I didn't put it on because I want you guys to go and check out his YouTube channel. Okay. Other than that, guys, thank you guys for still hanging in there with us, guys. We are 3/4 of the way through our planned program tonight, guys. It's been an amazing talking to Core Fishing from Stockton, California. If you guys are just joining us live, please make sure to check. Please make sure to check out please make sure to leave a comment in the comment section where you guys are watching from, what you guys are doing, what you guys are having for dinner. If you guys are rewatching this, please make sure to check out my YouTube channel, Set It Snag It Dip It Alaska, and my Facebook page, Set It Snag It Dip It Alaska, so that in the future when I go live again, you guys can join us live. I get a lot of rewatchers or people who watch it later on, just because they're not on with us live, they're watching it later on. Cool, Joe. Thanks so much for sharing a lot of information. I still want to get more out of you. Okay, so I still got
no
a
problem,
few
man.
more questions to ask you. And man, it's been fun talking to you, man. It's just I've been in Alaska for about 9 years now, and I hope in the future I get a time to come visit and maybe hit you up and maybe join you on a fishing trip. I actually never gone fishing on the boat before, so yeah. Still haven't
anytime, man. You make your way back to California, let me know.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about visiting Alaska, or have you ever been to Alaska?
Yeah, I actually been to Alaska once. I remember as a kid. As a kid, I grew up, trying to find anything about fishing, and one of the places that always popped up was Alaska. And I told my dad, and I was like, hey, when I graduate high school, like, let's go to Alaska. He's like, all right. And then it actually didn't happen because I actually was too busy. And then I was like, all right, Dad, when I graduate college, let's go. And he bought us tickets, and we went to Alaska. Alaska was everything that they said it would be, in the videos and the magazines. Everything is truly the last like true wild wilderness frontier. I remember driving right after college. We rented a car. We flew into Anchorage. We drove up to the Kenai River around there, and all the regulations are whack in Alaska. That's just all I remember. Like, rivers, arms, and tributaries, they're closing daily. They close and open because of like the fish count, they were saying. So they know like how many they can harvest in a certain area. So they'll open and close, and the actual area we were supposed to go to actually closed. I can't remember where it was, so we actually had to drive far there. And we booked one of those guide trips, and I wasn't unsatisfied with the guide trip, but I realized that everyone in Alaska guides, everyone's fishing the same places, We targeted king salmon. We came in June. We targeted king salmon, and we got halibut, and then we did another day king salmon. And I must have hooked. Man, I forgot how many salmon I hooked, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of salmon there, but a lot of the techniques that were done in Alaska, I actually feel like people do it here in California too. You know, we were flossing and floss. I never flossed before, but man, you realize that the river you're flossing is only like 2 feet deep. You know, you're flossing a little shoal that's like this deep, and then you realize the fish jumps in, and then you got it. And we were doing back bouncing those what do you call it, quick fish,
Mm-hmm.
you know, off a drift boat. Caught quite a few doing that, and then went out to do deep sea fishing in the for halibut. We didn't catch anything big, probably like 70, 80 pounds or a big one, which isn't that big for Alaska, you know. It's a good fish, but it's not that huge, you know. The Pacific halibut get way bigger.
Yeah,
I'd
it could
definitely
go
go
like
back there though. There's if I had to go back, I think I'd like to actually fly into a more remote place of Alaska, you know, like a flying trip, or maybe like get a guide for a day or two and then just try it out by myself, you know. 3 days wasn't long enough for me fishing in Alaska, you know. We had plenty of meat to take home. That wasn't the issue, you know. The fish is great up there, but fish tastes great. But it's not about bringing the meat home. It's just about like going out and experiencing it, you know.
yeah, like I tell my wife, right? Like, man, we live in Alaska. People pay thousands of dollars to get up here. Enjoy. My wife, she's not really adventurous because she's from back home, and she said that she's seen all the hills, she's seen all the mountains, she's seen all the water she wanted to see, she's seen all the wild she wanted to see. So she's not really into that. But me, yeah, like recently rediscovered fishing about 8 years ago, and man, it's been amazing. I'm glad you got the chance to come out here and experience some of the fishing. Like you said, some of the regulation is super whack this year. They close a lot of king salmon fishing. They close a lot of silver fishing. They reduce a lot of numbers because of the bad count. Everybody's trying to blame everybody. They're saying that it's like the trawler. They're saying that it's the people coming from out of state harvesting. They're saying it's the ocean. I don't really know. All I know is I can't go fishing, and that's kind of sad. But it could just be a bad year. It could just be a bad year, and it could be better because from what I keep hearing is that the fish go out for 2-3 years and they come back, and then what if that 2-3 year batch was a bad batch? Not all the little fish made it out there, and maybe next year is gonna be better. But yeah, it's been a amazing season for me too. That's my main fishing. We don't have too many species, so that's my main fishing out here, man. I'm glad you got the chance to, and in the future, if you do come back out here, make sure to hit me up. All right.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely make my way out there. I mean, like, there's more than just kings. You know, there's the coho, there's the pinks. You know, they all had different runs. You know.
Yeah, there's a 5 salmon family challenge that I've been trying to take on. And last year I was short one fish. I
See.
was short one of the fish that was pretty easy to fish too, but it was just my time. Like I didn't have that much time, or I couldn't spend that much time out there. In Alaska, when they come, well, like the way how they're not fish that are there year round, because if you guys know about salmon, they go to the ocean, they come back, they do their thing, make babies, and they die, so
Yep.
you got to be there at the right place at the right time. Like if today's hot and tomorrow's hot, the next day might be cold. So if you're not
Yep.
there today and tomorrow, you're done. So yeah, I missed it, but yeah, definitely, man. If you do plan a trip, look in the future to come a little bit longer and take on that Alaska 5 Salmon Family Challenge. They give you a certificate from the state, man. It's pretty cool, man.
For sure.
Yeah. So what is a tip you can give someone new into fishing your neck of the wood to set them up to be successful?
Man, honestly, the biggest thing that you can do to be successful is probably find a friend or someone that you know that knows how to fish and like follow them, like watch them fish, you know, learn from them. Because I'll tell you the truth, a lot of my fishing I've learned from people, and you know, you can go
Same
out and
here.
find stuff out by yourself. There's like, you know, that's part of the sport. But the truth is, like, everyone's learned from someone, you know,
Right.
whether it just be like your neighbor, your cousin, one of your buddies, or just some guy that just like standing next to the bank next to you.
Right.
It always seems like for everyone, it always seems like a secret fishing. You know, people are like, "Hey, it's just luck. It's just luck." No, it's not luck. You know, their luck plays a role. You know, but a lot of it is technique and skill. So my biggest thing is learn. Like, think about what you want to fish. go find someone. I'm sure you'll find someone that, you know, relatively close to you that knows how to fish or, you know, knows about fishing, and go learn from them. Because it's just like any like hobby, you know, you learn better from like someone, an instructor. You know, you'll learn a lot more faster. Because what took me, I don't know, years and years to figure out, I could just tell someone and they'll be like, what? Okay. And they'll just figure it out, you know, within a few fishing trips. You know, I was like, hey, that took me years to learn, you know. So I would say the biggest tip is try to find someone who fishes and learn from them. That's probably my biggest tip.
Cool, man. Definitely, I learned a lot from other people too. When I rediscovered fishing, I didn't just go and start fishing. I actually went with people, like you just said, went with people who knew how to fish, and throughout the time going, I slowly learn, and then finally build my arsenal. So my next thing I'm going to ask you is, what kind of gear do you use? Are you like the fancy pantsy guy? Are you like me, the Walmart guy? Are you in the middle? Are you like a loyalist to your brand? What kind of fishing rod and reel and tackle do you use?
I think half the fun of fishing is like buying the gear and setting it up. I mean, like my wife always laughs at me. I'll just be looking at my fishing gear, just like not even doing anything, just thinking, organizing, you know. And I think you have to go find out what type of guy you are, you know. Like I started fishing and I was just like, you know, typical guy, Walmart rod and reel, and then ugly stick for the longest time. And ugly stick was my favorite.
Ugly stick right here.
Yeah, you couldn't get me not to fish an ugly stick, you know. And then I got my first decent rod, which is just like some Berkeley graphite rod, and I was like, "Oh, this is heck good." And then I went and I started working in a fishing store, and then I became I was like, "Oh, I need high end rods and reel." I don't know what made me think that. I went and bought G Loomis, like $400 or $500 reel, Shimano Metaniums, Antares, stuff like that. And I was like buying high end Daiwas and stuff. And you would, you know, you just like, man, you're on the bank, you're using like $1,000 setup, you know. And then I was there, and then I actually like, you know, I'm actually fishing outside my price range. You know, you're out with $1,000 setup. You can't even, you know, you could have bought like, you know, 4 setups for that price, you know, 4 or 5 setups, no problem. And then I started, you know, downgrading, because I was like, man, I don't want to take this $1,000 setup. You're like babying it, you're not fishing it the whole time. So I went down and I started fishing more budget friendly gear. I would say like rods and reels in the $100 price point. And then I was like, hey, this, you know, this stuff does pretty good. I sold all my high end gear. I don't have that anymore. And then I was fishing rods. I would say it's like mid price, you know, in that like $100 to $200 range most of the time for a rod, and $100 to $200 range for a reel. But I buy a lot of my stuff on sale. So like a lot of people think that you need to go pay full price. You don't. You can find stuff on sale. You can find stuff secondhand. And the thing is, like, a lot of people buy rods just to try it and they don't like it and they sell it on Facebook or Craigslist.
Yes, yeah.
So you can just buy like budget gear. You don't need to spend a lot of money to fish. And now, man, I've kind of gone full circle. I don't have any super high end stuff. Not because I'm not kind of I can't buy it, or if I wanted it, I can't get it. It's just like I don't feel a need to. You know, I've become very confident in just my skills as a fisherman. So I don't fish like super budget stuff, you know, but I don't fish super high end stuff. I fish like that, you know, budget price stuff to that mid price stuff. And I'm happy with it. And the truth is, when I first started fishing, oh man, like 15, 20 years ago, I started buying my own stuff. You know, the gear is nowhere near the quality it is now. That's the truth. Like a $50, $60 reel now, even a $30 reel is like light years ahead where it was like 20 years ago, you know? Like that's probably like a top of the end reel like 20, 30 years ago, you know? So budget gear, you know, even if you use it from Walmart or your big box store, it's pretty good now most of the time. I genuinely find it hard to pick up a reel and it not be decent or quality. You know, it's really rare that I find a reel that's just like really bad, or a rod that's just like really bad. A lot of the times that, you know, a lot of people can make good rods and reels. There's so many brands and manufacturers out there. I'm not really particular or picky right now in terms of what I use.
Oh, okay. So you're not in that Shimano Daiwa
No, there was
fight, right?
times that,
Battle,
you
right?
know, no, there was times that I was like a Purist Shimano, a Purist
Yeah,
Daiwa, a Purist
yeah.
Dobbins, a Purist Phoenix, you know. But the truth is, like, every company has really good rods and reels. That's the truth.
Right.
And no matter what company rod and reel you fish, like I said, eventually you're gonna stop putting faith in like X company's name, or I have to be this type of fanboy, and you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm pretty good at fishing, or I know how to catch fish. I can do it on any gear, you know.
Cool, man. Cool to hear that, because I know some people, they are purists, like rod, reel, line, or like ice fishing, Eskimo, all the way. Everything, even jacket, even shoes, if they had them. Oh man, cool, 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 man. Yeah, me too. I'm just I well most like I'm gonna be honest, like I can't, like, for example, like buy a Gene Loomis and then take it snagging because it'll probably break because it's not built for that. I
Yeah,
could buy something nice and take it flossing, but it probably, like, it's not built for that too. So we kind of, like, out here, we kind of like go more on a budget friendly to middle. A lot of the time people just buy the $80 combo from Bass Pro, Cabela's, or Walmart and take it salmon fishing, because the technique that we use is really, like, um, simple. You ain't even gotta be sensitive. There's so much fish, and if it breaks, you just throw it away. I mean, if I had like $1,000 setup, I'm gonna be honest, I won't take it salmon fishing here.
yeah,
You
and
know.
that's the truth. There's nothing wrong with budget gear.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you have to be a lot of. That's what I said. Like the reason I stopped fishing high end stuff is because I was so scared to fish it, even off a
yeah.
boat in a bank. You're like, I don't need this. You're like, you want to baby it the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I recently got a Shimano Stratic 4000 like 2 years ago, and I don't even want it to get like any mud on. It's like I'm so babying it. But yeah, I mean it does benefit to sensitivity and better quality to those guys who do like that. Yeah. What's your thought and how do you feel about if I seen your YouTube video and I was like, "Hey Joe, where'd you go fishing?" Like, are you like, I don't wanna like say it like this, but are you like more of a, I'm gonna keep this to myself, I'm gonna keep it to my circle, or I don't, or do you tell people about your locations?
I've seen both sides. It seems like YouTubers in general, we get, bashed on. They're like, hey, you're spot burning and stuff,
Yeah, yep, yep. That's
like,
the word,
hey,
spot burning.
you're like, hey, spot burning, like, hey, that's my spot. But here's the truth, okay? Here's my opinion. I make YouTube videos. I'm not trying to please anyone. A lot of the times when I first started it, I didn't mind disclosing my location
Right,
because I was like, hey, like if you live in the area, like where this is. It's not a
right.
secret. You know what I
You
mean?
gonna you gonna see the branch or like the side, and you gonna be
Yeah.
like, oh, I know where that is.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
a lot of places in general, that I fish locally, a lot of the local guys will know.
Mhm.
But here's the truth, what I think. I get like, I only got like 3,000 followers, but like, you're up here in Alaska watching, like, you ain't never gonna come fish down here
Yeah.
consistently.
Unless I come visit, like maybe once in 10 years. So
Yeah. But I think that, I don't really disclose locations on my video. And when people ask, I don't really say anything. I just kind of leave it on red, because I want people to like figure it out by themselves, if that
nice.
makes sense. I
Yeah.
remember when I was started fishing too, I was always asking people on YouTube, and sometimes people would reply, sometimes people didn't. And I never understood until I became like a YouTuber kind of influencer. And I was like, okay, I can see why people get mad that, they're spot burning. But the truth is, a lot of the places I fish are truly like community holes, and they're like popular, they're popularly fished. And there are quite a few spots that I don't put in videos, because I do think that, like, hey, it's such an obvious spot, or it's like, if I put it, everyone's going to fish it, kind of deal. So I do have like, things I show on video, and I have things I don't show on video, because like some of those, like, quote unquote secret spots, or those like those places I know I can always go and catch a fish, I don't put
Mhm.
that on there, and I'll show them what I want to show them. So when people ask, hey, can you tell me the spot, I'll be like, no, I just like leave it on red. I don't really say anything, because most people will figure it out. And I spent years trying to figure out where some people are, and then it took me 5, 6, 7 years. I'm like, oh, I found out where exactly that spot is. I just never would have guessed it's there. And then
Right.
when you make that connection, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Like, I don't know if you watch Tactical Bass and you've heard of their YouTube channel, right?
I haven't yet.
No, Tactical Bassin's a really big bass influencing
Okay.
YouTube channel. They have like 500,000 subscribers or something. I don't know. And I watched their striper videos, man, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I was like, man, they're catching some monster stripers. And it just took me, it was just a year or two ago, I realized that I had finally discovered the place that they're fishing here in California, you know?
Mm.
And I was like, whoa, I finally figured it out. And when I made that connection, I was like, dude, this is not a secret spot. A lot of guys knew where this was, you know?
Mm.
But it seemed like a secret. But like I said, it's just like that instructor, you know, everything seems a secret till it's not. So
Right.
I don't really think I'm spot burning. Some people are like, man, you're burning up my spot. And I'm like, but you're still watching the video, you know?
Yeah, man. Kind of like one of like the bad side. I don't want to say bad side, but kind of one of the thing as a YouTuber influencer is, and you do get a lot of the local community asking. Me, this is how I feel about it. Like, I'm gonna add on a little bit. This is how I feel
Yeah, go
about
ahead.
like in the beginning. I was that guy, so I was asking, and I feel like damn, everybody was ignoring me, right? So I kind of like pursue into, okay, I'm gonna go here, 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 and see it, and then if anybody asks, I'm gonna share it. Now I feel like I feel like, you know what? I don't want to tell you no more. I don't want. It's not that I want to tell you no more, but it's like, you know what? What's the fun of like? What's the fun of it if I just tell you where to go? So, I kind of made it more of a report. So if you do know where it is, then you go. If you don't know where it is, then go discover it. Go discover it. And a lot of the places that I fish is public knowledge, public area, and yeah, at the beginning, that was kind of like one of my intentions as a local fishing YouTuber or influencer. But nowadays, it's like, okay, I kind of understand. You know what? Let's just if it's not too like if I go to the Kenai River, right, and then people like ask me, oh hey, because there's like so many spots where you could
Mhm.
go fish the Kenai, right? If I go to the Kenai River and they're like, hey, where's that spot you're fishing, right? And one of the spot that is not like, like local knowledge, because a lot of people don't go there and fish every year, but if you do get the information, then you do. I kind of just like say, hey, here's a as a report, I just say, hey, here's a public spot that you could go fish.
Mhm.
I've seen some of the effect of sharing too much information. One of my buddy, big shout outs to damn, should I say it? When big shout out to one of my buddy, fishing Bob. He kind of shared a secret spot with us, and it's not a secret spot no more. And we can't go and get our, big nice 20 inches anymore from there. So yeah,
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying too. Like,
yeah,
there have been some times that I'm like, man, I was like, yeah, everyone's doing it now. Like,
yeah,
I remember I fished Hogan, right? And then I got to throw in this little paddle tail, specific color.
yeah,
And at Hogan, there's a lot of people. It's a public, like, it's not hard. It's a tiny lake, you know?
yeah.
And we cast into a boil. I hooked 2 other lines and they all had the same bait in them as me, you know? And I'm like, man, these guys are watching my video. I was the only guy throwing this, you know? But there are times, like you said, sometimes you do want to save spots for yourself
Hmm.
and like areas you think people don't fish. So it's perfectly fine. Like, they'll never see those videos, you know?
Yeah,
And
right.
I always seems like, and I know you can attest to this, you catch your biggest fish when your camera's not on, or you catch your best
Oh,
bait when
yeah.
your camera's not on.
They're camera shy, man.
Camera shy. So
Yeah,
I would say, take it with a grain of salt, but it's like you too. I don't mind sharing some like super public locations.
yeah,
I'll be like,
public.
hey, look, I'm fishing this area. Everyone fishes it. It's not a secret. Go
Hmm.
fish it. I'll tell you some like public, like if you Googled it, you could find it,
Right.
like fishing spots, like those I don't mind sharing because I was like, hey, that's a, public spot,
Cool, man. Yeah. Oh, we got DJ St. Paul studio in the house. What's up, my boys? Hey, what's up, DJ St. Paul? Big shout out to DJ St. Paul for doing a whole bunch of community service for our community in the Midwest, man. If you guys are not following him, you guys gotta check him out, man. He's doing a lot of big things for the community, man, and keep doing it, brother. My next question: have you ever done any salmon fishing when it was still open in California? And what's your thought on the salmon fishing regulation being
Oh
closed right
yeah.
now?
Salmon fishing is after bass fishing in the summer. In that fall time, you have like your two big choices are you go striper, you go salmon most of the time, for me at least. The salmon season has been great in the past. And it's kind of like what you see too. Like some years, like it seems like it's not good at all. Some years it seems like it's wide open, like anyone can catch a salmon, you know? And I remember when I first started fishing, it was probably like I think 2009 or something for salmon because we just learned that salmon run in the Delta. You know, we were out there jigging, we were jigging these big metal spoons, and man, it seemed like every time we go out, it was like guaranteed limit, and the limit is 2 salmon. You know, so you'd like guarantee limit, and you would go out there, and I'm not even joking, man. It's just like when you're flossing in Alaska, you know, you could just like combat fishing, but this is with boats because we're drifting on boats, and there's so many boats up in
Yeah,
Freeport.
I seen some
it,
video,
right?
man. It's crazy, dude. Like
Yeah.
hella boat, just like bam, 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 bam,
Yeah,
bam, bam.
and you could literally hop to another person's
You
boat
know?
because that's how many boats are out there. But everyone's pulling in salmon, and that was like 2009 or something. And then it seemed like there was a couple slow years, and then it was like a good year. But man, it just seems like salmon fishing hasn't been good for a long time in California. That's just my opinion. You know, like salmon fishing. I remember I had one good year. We were pulling in limits every single time. It was like guaranteed, you know. And then it was slow, and then we kept pulling a couple. And I think a lot of it does with the weather because, you know, for a long time in California, we were having like a drought and there was no rain. So that historically, you know, the salmon didn't have as much water to run through. So I felt like the salmon count was low, or if they were coming through, they would just rush. They would just blow through, you know, like they weren't stopping at all. But in terms of closure, man, I don't know. I've seen the regulations change so much for Department of Fish and Game. They close it because they think it's not a good year, or they predict it's going to be a bad year, and they open it and they close it. I mean, I like to think they know what they're doing, but a lot of the times I think it deals with poor water management. You know, I think they defer a lot of the water to like our agriculture and stuff. Nothing wrong with that. Or sometimes they'll open up the weirs and the wells and they'll just let the water out. And sometimes I do think it's with the season. I can definitely say that it seems like salmon fishing has been on the decline in general. I talked to very few people that say salmon fishing has been great, but the reason they say this is because, people aren't catching. But just because people aren't catching doesn't mean that, there's not salmon in the river. So I feel like, Department of Fish and Game closed it because they're, getting historically low counts. Do I think it has to do with recreational fishermen? No, I don't think recreational fishermen are destroying the salmon population. That's my opinion. Department of Fish and Game put these regulations in place because they think it's fit for us to take this much, salmon from the river. If they close it, they say that it's going to replenish and even be more and more, and you'll catch salmon even when you're not fishing for them in the Delta. I'm not going to say it's like, one way or the other, but I definitely think that salmon have been on the decline in the, California Delta area, just generally speaking. That's just my opinion on it. Biggest salmon, probably about 30 pound king. Caught that on a jig. I didn't even know what I hooked. I thought I just hooked the log, and then it starts moving, and you reel it in, and seals chasing it and everything out here. So you're trying to like horse it in as fast as you can, but you can't reel in a hot salmon.
Right.
Yeah. So probably about 30 pound king. I don't have an official weight on it, but I remember we didn't have a scale, so I had a house scale. So I stepped on it without the salmon, held the salmon, stepped back on it. It was 30 pounds. So
that count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that was the biggest salmon, but most of our salmon here in California, I'd say about 8 to 20 pounds is your average salmon. Anything bigger than that's pretty big most of the time.
We got FG Mua, great podcast and interview. You guys love the content. Thank you for joining us, brother. Thank you so much. We got Larry Chang with the hi. Hey, what's up, brother? Hope you're back in California ready. Keep doing what you're doing. This is gonna be my next guest. I just gotta set a date with him. I don't just do podcasts with my outdoor community. I just do it with anyone who wants to do it. That's where I came up with the no invite. No one invited me, so I started inviting people. I don't want, no one invited me, so I feel hella left out. So let me do the podcast. I'll do my own podcast, and I'll invite everybody. It's cool, man. it's positivity for the community. And then we got Pete. Sup, guys? Good show. Thank you, Pete. Thank you guys for joining. It's from YouTube, huh? Thank you. Cool, man. Yeah, my biggest king salmon that I ever caught in Alaska is 8 pound. It's been on a decline here. Like it's really bad. Like this year they closed salmon king salmon fishing in most waterway, and the only one that was open, um, the return was really bad too. So yeah, it's kind of pointless now to buy a king stamp if you're planning on king salmon fishing, unless next year is a good year. But yeah, I've been buying one every year, and the last time I caught one was like 2 years ago, and before that was like 5 years ago. So it's been really challenging for king salmon fishing up here. But for the sockeye salmon, it's millions,
Yeah.
1.5 million, 2 million every year, no problem, no issue, man.
Mm.
Cool, guys. So we are coming to the end of the program. Joe, what do you got planned for the future on your YouTube channel, and a message to your fans and followers on your social media?
Man, I was just smiling. My son was running through the,
Yeah.
kitchen right now. I definitely say a lot of people don't see it, but a lot of those, YouTubers that people like watching, I don't really know when they have time for their family, to be honest, because like, I got my son and he's taking a lot of my time. So the best thing I can say is I'm trying to put content out as much as possible. But if you have kids, man, your kids take up your whole life, man. And I get out way less than I used to. I used to get out, man, one, two, 3 times a week,
Oh
no
wow.
problem. But now it's like, man, I'd be lucky to get out once every other week or once a month when my kid was born. So I love putting out content. I'm trying to transition my channel because into more maybe a vlog or maybe an instructional type of videos, because the truth is, like I used to watch YouTube specifically to learn, and when you watch YouTube, you watch it for entertainment, you watch it for, knowledge most of the time. And when I was first fishing, I always watch videos. I try to look at what they're doing, where they're throwing, how they're fishing. And, hopefully if you watch my videos, I'm not afraid to share my baits and techniques with people. Learning where to do it is different, but teaching you, hey, I'm throwing this top water here, hey, I'm throwing this top water here, here's why I'm doing it, now go find your own place to do it. I don't mind doing that. I think that will definitely help out a lot of people. So I'd like to do more instructional videos in the future. A lot of people keep asking me to do catch and cooks, man. That's why I like one of my number one like requests. They're like, hey, do a catch and cook. But I always feel like I'm a fishing channel. Like I don't really cook, So that's probably one of my biggest requests is catch and cooks. But I'll probably have to try some of those soon. Other than that, just trying to keep my YouTube channel going. I mean, it's just, it's something I do for fun. If it ever took off, that'd be great. I'm just waiting till my YouTube channel takes off so I could quit work, but I don't see that happening yet. So I'm just out here just making videos for fun, man.
Cool, man. Keep grinding, man. Just yeah, like you, with the limited time, man, taking care of the family too. I haven't gone fishing for over a month now, and I'm supposed to be making YouTube videos, but sometimes it's the kids are growing so fast, and you don't want to miss out on that. Fishing is always gonna be there, but definitely, man, looking forward to your future stuff. We got a few guys join us late on the comment in the comment section. Pete, what's up, guys? Good show. Sean, what the hi? Hey, hi, Sean. Sean Outdoor. Charlie, Joe is a great guy and great fisherman. Great podcast too. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. Exclusive custom. What's up, Joe? When we fishing? When are you guys fishing, Joe?
I don't know. When does he invite me? I've been seeing him kill it out on the California Delta, waiting for him to invite me.
And then we got Xmong09. What's up, oh? Thank you guys for joining us in the live comment tonight, guys. So usually at the end of like my little podcast, I kind of like just ask you if there was anybody you want to give thanks to, or you want to give a big shout outs to before we end the live stream. I'm gonna start. Okay, I'm gonna start. Thank you so much, Joe, for taking time for your busy schedule to join me today. It's been a pleasure talking to you, man. I just want to say I've been watching your content and keep going at it. Okay, keep going at it, man. Like I'm a small time YouTube channel too. I love doing it. I do it for a hobby. It's most of the time, but if it generates some revenue, it's even better. Regardless, I love doing it. Keep doing what you do. I want to thank everybody who joined us tonight. Exclusive custom alert had another comment drop. Keep up the great content. Respect the grind. Yes, sir. Um, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank my wife. I want to thank my kids for allowing me to do this. Taking time from them to do this for the community. And yeah, thank you guys all for supporting, man. I can't believe that I'm in season 3 already. And tonight I had core fishing Joe on and sharing a whole bunch of cool fishing tale from California. Okay, how about you, Joe?
Well, first, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. It was really fun, honestly. Just talking about fishing. I'm sure you're the same, man. I could
Yes,
talk
sir.
fishing all day,
Yes,
no
sir.
problem. So thanks for having me on the show. Thank my wife. She always supports me in my hobbies. Never have to question if I'm going to go fishing. I just tell her, and you know, no questions asked. Thanks for all my sponsors that I have that keep me help me fishing, keep me motivated to get on the water. All my buddies that were in our tournament, because keeps me motivated to go out fishing more. And other than that, I'm just happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me again.
Oh yeah, man. Definitely, I'm gonna do a follow with you in the future. And just keep us updated on what you've been up to. All right. Other than that, have a good night. Nothing but love and good health from me and my family to yours. If you ever do come visit Alaska, hit me up. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, man.
All right, man. Have a good night.